So I think it's an interesting time to be learning about the courses of FDCW, because there's so much going on that we all know about in the world. And a lot of it is to do with values. You know, what values do we actually espouse? What values do we live by? Our politicians, our leaders, our community. What values are we teaching our children? What world are we creating for them? And of course, FDCW courses is all about our values, translating those into our virtues, and using mindfulness to do that in a really deep way. So I think we may as well start with a few moments of very conscious settling. So I invite you, sit with dignity. Sit with an awareness of your spine, your shoulders wide, your neck long. Really become aware of what your body is feeling. Be aware of your breath, your inhalation, your exhalation. Bring your mind to where your body is. If you're multitasking at this moment, I suggest you drop your shoulders, focus inwards. Bring your mind where your body is. Move your breath from your upper chest to your diaphragm. Follow your inhalation and exhalation. And as the thoughts flow through your mind, relax. Release each thought and return to focusing on your breath. Notice your motivation for being on this Zoom call at this moment. Adjust your motivation so it is as expansive as possible, that as many people in your family, in your community, in your country, in your continent can benefit from you being here now. Now become very aware of the room you are in and turn on your full body listening. Perhaps bring some movement now into your body. Rotate the shoulders, stretch. Anytime during this session, please move, because that will remind me to move. The challenge with a lot of these Zoom meetings is that we sit fairly static. We forget that we're embodied. So please move whenever you want to. One of the resources that I use when introducing stillness, mindfulness, whatever you call it, with children, are these breathing balls, these Hegelman spheres. Ceci showed you one if you did the children and teens session with her. on the first day. And I actually like using it myself. If I'm feeling a bit frazzled, I'm feeling a bit, a lot of rumination, just breathing with the ball. It's great for people on the spectrum, great for people, special educational needs. It's colorful, it's vibrant. So just keeps you very centered. All sorts of things that can help us. So I hope throughout, if the questions are arising, please jot them in chat. We'll look at those as we go through them, but towards the end, we'll answer them. I think one of the things I want to pay homage to, given that this is the 40th anniversary of universal education, the first international educational conference was in Italy in 1982. And some of you might remember the wonderful magazines that came out during the 80s, during the, incredible resource in terms of universal education. And then, as many of you know, a special lady, Alison Murdoch, was asked to take forward the FDCW, and I want to pay homage to Venerable Connie and all sorts of other people who came before her. Amazing work over the last 40 years. And there were various iterations of the 16 guidelines. Alison in her session mentioned the conference in Australia. And then we had the 16 guidelines for life, the basics book, which is translated into quite a few languages and is now available to download on the website. Then there was the most gorgeous coffee table book. It's kind of very similar, well, the same content as the small one. It's beautiful. It's what I'm finding it really interesting trying to show things on the screen. It shows me that I don't have very good spatial awareness in terms of left right. It's really interesting. And then we had various inspirations, and I have to pay homage to Anna Kaleo for her wonderful work with 16 to live by. You can hear much more of her tomorrow with Ursula, and she was on Alison's session. And pay homage to Denise Flora, who I can honestly say, I think lives the guidelines as much, if not more, than anybody else I know. And she mentioned the work she did with her family. These are all free to download on the FDCW website, these two. They're absolutely wonderful resources. You can see Denise's amazing photos. We have Winning Ways, a novel, and embedding the 16G into football. That will be on the website soon. And then, of course, so many resources in different countries. This was from Malaysia, their badges for each of the 16 guidelines. This is Mrs. Courage. And I have to say that the cards that go with the 16 guidelines are, I think, one of the reasons the 16G are so successful. I again give credit to one of our Italian trainers, Sabrina, who's trained in a couple of our other courses. And we were discussing how come 16G seems to take off so well. And she was saying it's partly because of the cards and how we use them. If all of this is unfamiliar, just go to our website, much more information there. I pulled a card today, it was gratitude. So ever so much on the website to give you much more detail about what I'm talking about. Just a quick reminder of what's on there. The courses that FDCW offer. We now tend to call it building inner strength. It's just a bit more powerful than just 16G for life. Most people can only retain between 5 and 7 things. So the whole concept of 16, wow, can be a bit much. But I have to say, very useful. So there are 3 levels of training within the 16 guidelines program that people can undertake, level 1, 2 and 3. Level 1 and 2, 12 hours in duration minimum. Currently level 3, 18 hours, but it's going to be expanded. There's also a building on the basics, which can be done either in between level 1 and 2 or 2 and 3. And then there's the module for children and teens, plus very regular forums. So 16 G was our first main course. Then the art of fulfillment, action, reflection, transformation, a 30 to 40 hour program. And then out of that larger program, we've developed a couple of other modules. So a couple of courses, building balanced empathy, 6-hour course, unlocking your potential, 6-hour course. But all of these, well, mostly all of them can be done online now due to COVID, certainly level 1 and 2, and building balanced empathy and unlocking your potential. So they can all be done virtual, they can all be done in person, or most of them virtually. And then, as I say, more information on the website. The books that are available, I've mentioned, but as well as the books, there's the app, which is really great. If you don't happen to have the cards in your pocket, then there's the app. Then there's also, for those who aren't able to access the course, there's the 16 guidelines, 16-day challenge. There's the happy toolbox for kids. There's a guide for discussion group. This is so great. Michaela's done a beautiful job of presenting that. So anybody who wants to work with a group of friends, or any kind of group, it's a really good guide for introducing the 16G. And then there's also, if you want to do it, a 30-day online self-study kit, which is available. So there's much more which I could say, but I think I'm over time. So over to Marian.
Okay, thanks, Wendy. That was, I know when we wanted to present in 1 hour what we'd been asked to present, we felt quite challenged, because over the years, so much has come our way, has been produced, has been offered. So it's a very rich program with people connecting from all over the world. So thanks, Wendy, for giving us that quick survey. And I hope you guys will look into it more. Now, within all the courses that we offer, we've discovered over at least 10 years, we've tested and shifted and worked with certain tools, and some really we have found to be very powerful and very useful to participants and to ourselves too. And so I would like to take you in a bit more of an experiential journey now. Wendy and I will both do this, but really to actually participate and get a taste for some of the activities, and especially the tools that are central to our courses. We really value these because we've found over the time that we've used them that they are truly experiential. And when we talk about experiential, what we're really talking about is what we learn about ourselves, what we discover from within ourselves during these courses through these tools it can be it's really embodied. It's not just mind, it's not simply heartfelt, but it's actually a connection of those two qualities which are so critical to developing compassion and wisdom. So that's the real underpinning of all these tools that we work with. And we've got 7, but we have really 3 or 4 which are truly what I would call experiential. And the absolutely critical one of those, which you probably all guess, is what we, in the 16 Guidelines program, we termed mindfulness. But later in the 2 more recent programs, we have started using the word basic awareness, because we felt that just to sort of step aside a little from mindfulness, not that it's really changed the actual practice. So that to us underpins the whole of all our programs. And I think that's obvious. If you look at the website, you'll see there's a real emphasis on mindfulness. So the tools that we'll explore today are 3. And what I would like to do, if it's okay with you, is take you on a little journey of exploration with the first tool. They're not in any particular order. This one is called Reframing. We kind of stepped a little further and decided and discovered that pre-framing was very useful and might be useful, especially for all of us in this time of challenge. We're all challenged, and we're surprisingly so sometimes. So I'd like to invite you, if you would now, to come with me on just a quiet, reflective journey. And I'm going to share with you, just share with you for a moment, a slide to just explain it a little bit, because sometimes when we first, come across these tools, they can be, well, it's nice to have an explanation of them, isn't it? So this is just a little, I'm just sharing here the slide. Now the inquiry, one interesting thing about, oh, that's not, sorry, I seem to have got to the wrong slide. Just shut your eyes while I go to the right slide, if I can. There we go. The reframing, this is what we need, excuse me there. We're going to do a reframing. Actually, what we are going to do is a pre-framing, not the same principle. But what we're going to do is we're going to look at something on a situation that's coming up for us, a situation that might be coming in the next week. It could be coming in the next month. And given the time of year, many of us might think about a time that's going to be challenging for us in the future. What we normally do is we do these in pairs, this work. This won't be possible today. We decided, just because of time factors, it would be easier for us now to do it as a full group. So I'm going to lead you in this. So that's why it says at the top, it's adapted and generally done in pairs. This really enhances our activities in our courses because it allows people to work together, shifting their pairs whenever we do different tools. So we're going to reflect on a situation or some challenging moments that might come up for you over the next week, possibly a little longer, maybe even up to a month. If we're thinking about the holidays coming up, something might be a problem. And really, let's take a moment now to really define what the kernel of that might be for you. And please, we always really encourage folks when we do this exercise, this tool, the first time or even after that, to look at something that's not hugely challenging, something that will come up for you this week maybe, but something that you can manage, not the biggest challenge maybe that you might meet, because we want to learn how the tool works in a gentle situation. Yeah, and then once we've appreciated that, we can go on perhaps and dig more deeply. Yeah. So we're going to reflect on this, and I want to take a few moments to do that. After that, I'm going to draw a card at random from my pack of cards here, my pack of 16 guidelines cards, which has the 16 guidelines in it. And we're going to share one guideline, which will be fun because obviously when we do it in pairs, each person gets a different guideline. So we're going to have a group share of a guideline. And then we're going to break into groups of 3. We'll pace this so it won't be rushed. And we're going to share that experience with 2 other people, just to talk for a couple of minutes each about what that experience was for us. Yeah. And how it might have, what we learned from it. So let's bring to mind that possible challenge, that possible situation that we would like some help with. Might be something personal, maybe something connected to our work, connected to family, connected to just challenges that these present days have brought us. Just to take a moment and really to look, how would I like to look at this, perhaps take another look at this. How could a guideline help me? Let's see. But really just focus on the challenge that you might be facing or might face in the future days. So what we'll do now is I'm going to shuffle my cards and I'm going to pick one out at random for us all. I have loyalty. I don't know if you can see that, guys. So loyalty, that's an interesting card, I have to say. Now remember, please, when we're thinking about how loyalty might impact this question we had in mind, remember it can be for ourselves, it can be for others, something we share personally or we share with others. So it's not necessarily one fixed guideline in one direction or in any particular way. So just let's take another moment to each of us reflect before we go into our groups. Maybe take a few deep breaths and allow the idea of loyalty, seeing what it might mean for us and how it might be applicable to this situation. Maybe I need to be loyal to myself. Maybe to close friends, maybe to globally. What does loyalty inform? How does it inform my situation, my challenge? Okay, I hope that's taken you to a place where you feel comfortable sharing with just two other people. Hopefully you'll know them, but you'll certainly get to know them. And I'm going to ask Michaela, who's kindly doing the tech, to divide us into groups of 3. And we'll have 2 minutes each and another minute right at the end to just check in. So 7 minutes altogether. So please share your experience and enjoy.
So I think we've got most people back, and I know you needed longer, and I'm sure that, you know, yes, yeah, I know. This, don't forget, this is a taster, and for you to carry on thinking about it afterwards. Marian, do you want to say anything?
No, not except just what Wendy said. We were actually mourning the fact that there's always a need for more time, especially we were really pressed to want to deliver these things to you in the time we had, an hour. Maybe we'll go over for just a few minutes. Let's see. But yeah, come to the courses, then we'll have 12 hours to enjoy together.
I mean, loyalty as a word needs so much unpacking, and yeah, it's not a word we commonly use. So how are you doing? I want you to check in with me now. Thumb, the angle of your thumb. Are you okay? You know, really okay? Let me see some thumbs. Oh, okay. Yeah, a bit. Oh, yeah, actually. Okay, cool. So really, what's your body telling you that you need right now? So don't forget, movement is a door to learning. You know, on 16G courses, we really try to respond through embodiment. We really try to be aware of not just what's happening up here, but what's happening in our body, what's happening in our heart. So, you know, when you use that, say that guideline of loyalty, you know, how would you show it in your body? What would your body be like? Or courage. Show me now your body if it's full of courage. What would your body be like? Think of the places that you've been where you maybe would have done, you know, felt you needed more courage. How would your body be inside, outside? So first the experience, then the concept. From this kind of embodiment, I think that's where I learned that, you know, it really hurts when I care. And it's this awareness of values and what they mean on a day-to-day level that we're working with the FDCW programs. A UE tool which really helps with this kind of learning of embodiment is called Mind and Heart Reflection. And, you know, it's a bit like the Russian doll. You know, you've got your outside that you show to everyone. And sometimes when we do meditation, we just get to this kind of level. It's really, you know, not really in touch. It's all in our head. And what we want to get to is this real inner level where it's combining our body, our mind, our heart, all of ourselves. So mind and heart reflection, it's this tool where you have a particular theme depending on which program, and then you start exploring a situation of that theme, but not just from the head point of view, the body point of view. So I ask you now, I invite you now to really think. The focus we're going to have is connection. So a mind and heart reflection on connection. So I invite you to choose a small incident of connection. Maybe you greeted somebody in the street that you hadn't seen, but you know, a time recently when you felt connection. So I invite you to sit alert and relaxed, to notice your breath, and take some deep intentional breaths. With each inhale, relax. With each exhale, let go of the stale energy, the stale ideas. Feel your body and mind as spacious. Sense your breath. Feel that you are in a safe space. You know the word connection. You've felt it. Now think about what connection means to you. Hold that word connection in your heart, not just your mind. And if it is appropriate for you, allow yourself to feel that connection in your chest, in your heart area, in your belly, with curiosity. Sense it. Allow yourself to remember a specific time this week, recently, when you connected to another or to others, or perhaps when you avoided connection. Try and focus on a specific moment of connection. Perhaps it was when you depended on another or others. Perhaps it was when others depended on you. Go to a moment when your connection was clear to you. Who was present? Were you alone or with others? What were the circumstances? Allow yourself, your body, your heart to be in that moment of connection. How did it feel? How did you experience it? How did it manifest in your heart and in your mind? Did any understanding come? Now relax your body, your face. Notice if there's any tension. Notice your experience of connection. Soften and release. We will slowly end this mind and heart reflection. Take some deep breaths. Breathe out the sigh. And notice how you feel. You wriggle and your toes and the fingers and stretch and move your body any way that feels good. And notice any words or phrases that are coming to your mind that would enable you to, if you wanted to share your understanding of connection from your heart, mentally, emotionally, energetically. You might want to jot down those words or phrases that come to mind. And if you feel to do so, you might want to share any words or phrases that express your understanding of connection in chat. What struck you now of what I've said over the last 10 minutes that I've shared? Were you bored? Were you sleepy? Were you reminded of something? Were you puzzled by something? What new insights come? Feel free to share in chat some of the words that come for you, or if anybody wants to quickly unmute themselves and just say it, just popcorn style, just, something that you want to say. Okay, thank you. Reframing painful didn't keep to lesson point yet. Okay. Thanks, Victoria. All connected by love, safe, fortunate. Connections between us are infinite. Warmth and trust, warmth, networking, the unconditional love, deep concern in the present with another, free connection with the silence inside me, space, emptiness, warm feeling. It's lovely to see the similarities. It's that we are not alone in our feelings. There's quite a few overlaps between the warm, the peace. Lots of different experiences of connection came up. What they had in common was a sense of spaciousness, a letting go of struggle. Thanks, Kate, for that. Great for all the joy of being trusted. Thank you. And I totally understand that for some people your mind will have been elsewhere and it was just nothing to do with connection. That's just how it is sometimes. But this is just a sample. This is something you can do yourself. All of these are examples of what we do on UE courses. Over to Marian. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Wendy. Thank you very much. Yeah, and maybe even though we're going quite quickly, just because that's how it is today, you might notice that actually what's wonderful, especially when we're in a group working in a more extended way, that we can actually find that the responses that we share with a partner or we share with the full group actually connect us to each other. So there's that sense of connection beyond our personal experience, which is really something that universal education values and nurtures in all its programs and courses. Yeah. And it's something that of course, Lama Yeshe really encouraged us to include whenever we were working together. So what I'd like us to do now is one more tool, one more experiential tool. It's based, originally it was, we found it inspired by the Zen koan. We now call it inquiry. And it's really, I would call it a focused reflection, but it's quite spontaneous. It's quite, we're going to go inwards, sort of, I call it drilling down in a way. We're opening up those layers of onion, almost like the dolls that Wendy showed us. But it's a way of really getting to know our deeper thoughts about something, or deeper sense, because it's really a sense. It's a heart-centered activity. And mind too, but it's sort of inspirational in some ways, rather than thinking more sort of intellectually about something. Let's see if I can share this. Yeah, okay. There we go. So here's the inquiry. And again, as I mentioned on the last tool that we explored together, the reframe or the pre-frame, this has again been adapted because we would do it in pairs, and someone would ask the question. One person asked the question to their partner, and the partner would respond with a word or a phrase. And I'm going to just demonstrate it in a moment, so don't worry if you have no clue what's going on and you're not sure what to do. But it'll be very simple. Normally people respond, and we keep it because it's in a pairs situation. They speak to each other. There's the person who's asking the question is just present and listens mindfully. Because we're going to do it as a large group, I'm going to ask the question, and then I'm going to allow you either just to speak it out loud, so that because we won't hear you, you're muted, so you could speak it to in your space to yourself, and as an option, you could also write it down. So each of your answers, just a word or phrase, just allow them to arise gently from the heart, from a sense of just knowing knowing it within, and just allowing it to come to the surface. So normally we do this for 2 or 3 minutes. It can be done for longer, of course, but this is normally how we do it, and that can be seen quite an extended amount of time. We'll do it today I will ask the question to you and give you time to respond. So this is, again, like as I said, it's something that we do in our courses, and because Denise is here today and she's kindly offered to respond to the question for me, I'm going to do this. Are you ready, Denise? Have you opened your mic?
Can you hear me okay?
Cool. Okay, so I'm just going to ask Denise a couple of times, and then we'll go in and we'll all do it together. So here we go. Denise, how can you care for others?
By being a good listener.
Thank you. How could you care for others?
By first taking care of myself.
Thanks, Denise. That's great. Thank you. You can join the crowd now because we're all going to do it together. So I hope that helps you to get a sense of how it works. And this is obviously something that you can experiment with afterwards at home with your family, children, whatever. But let's try it now together. So if you have a pen and you'd like to write down your replies, that's fine. If you'd just like to say them out loud, great too. So just take a couple of breaths if you'd like, just mindfully settle. Just rest in this moment together, being aware that we are sharing an experience. So, everybody, how can you care for others? Thanks. How can you care for others? Thank you. Remember, it's one word or just a short phrase. So everybody, how can you care for others? Thank you. How can you care for others? Thanks. How can you care for others? And one more time. How can you care for others? Thank you, everybody. That's a very small taste of a really a wonderful tool. Many people find it the thing they can really engage with. And during our courses, we find that not everyone will engage as deeply with each tool, but mostly everyone will find one or two of the tools that really speak to them, apart from mindfulness, which we really encourage everyone to establish as a daily basis, just a few moments at least a day, a few minutes, 5 minutes. But this is a wonderful tool, and I found it really helpful, even very practical situations, So just to ask, say you're looking for a new job, what would I like in that new employment? What would I like? So children love to do it. So if you have the opportunity to work with kids, this is a great one. They love to take time for these sort of things. And you can ask very practical, what do you like to play, or how do you like, things like that. So I think we're getting close to wrap-up time. We've got 6 minutes, and we would like to, Wendy, have we got any questions that one of us would like to respond to, or both of us?
Okay, I just put that quote up just to encourage any questions.
Thank you.
Just a couple of things I wanted to say. The basis of the FDCW courses is that we each have this innate capacity to develop our personal and social values, such as compassion, such as wisdom, such as all of the 16G. And the FDCW courses and resources present a path for transformation and growth, and they're designed to really develop our potential from birth to death. So they're not just for adults, they're for children, they're for elders, they're for couples, and there are lots of inspired by courses. We've mentioned the official ones. There's all sorts. Denise has done amazing work in the rhythm of virtue, all sorts of working with music and such like, and many people have done work in hospices and just so much prison work, all sorts of things. So it's this, I think what FDCW is providing is a framework to explore and develop universal values through mindfulness. And what participants often do on courses, they really share from their body, from their heart, the understanding of the vocabulary of values, and we really explore some of the challenges of living those values consistently using a range of tools that we've covered today. So it's really about developing the whole person. So I'm just looking at questions. There's one about inquiry. Do you want to take that, Marian? What if someone replies in a way that is in direct opposition with the 16G? Would you challenge this, explore it more? Great question.
Yeah, excellent question. I think in general, in the first level of the courses, we like to keep the focus on helpful responses. However, if someone reacts in a way that's they're in a partner. Their partner, of course, will not necessarily we would not stop someone or encourage a shift in their responses, but I think we wouldn't unpack it or really dig too deeply into it to start with, because often, as we all know, probably to stay in a positive mood, looking at helpful ways of approaching each of the guidelines, and all kinds of ethical questions is good to start with. But obviously later in the second level, we do start to explore the shadow side. And of course, if you were working, let's say, with troubled teens, you might get some quite strong responses. But I think it's coming from that person. So whatever arises is appropriate to them. Of course, if it was disruptive or in any way an issue, then one would perhaps talk, have a little discussion about it with the person. But it's never happened to me in my course, in the many courses that I've delivered. And Wendy probably would agree with me that generally the folks who do come aren't necessarily, they really are looking to enhance the positive qualities, helpful qualities.
I think,
Wendy, anything?
Yeah, I mean, one of the point of that method is to do it for as long as you possibly can. So, on the courses, we tend to do it for just 2 minutes or so. The first time I used it as a method, we did it 24 hours. That's how it's used. You're just constantly, 12 hours or 24 hours, the same question. So, of course, lots of negative things come up during that time. And 1 minute it'd be something really perhaps negative, or the shadow side really manifesting. The next moment it can be, and sometimes it's just silence. So it's a very, very powerful method, not to be underestimated. So we have another question. In the many courses that you've both offered over the years, why do you think 16G is so impactful? Marian and I were counting up, actually. We've probably delivered UE courses in at least 20 countries between us. And one of the reasons I think 16G is so impactful, I have to say, is the cards. Like I mentioned at the beginning, it helps you. It sounds so simple, but it's something you can carry on with the other courses. It's not, yeah, somehow you keep this. I mean, you can see how manky, or I don't know if that's a word or not, but how used my cards are, because they're always kind of in the back pocket, and you bring them out and you use them. I mean, you can use the app as well. I wouldn't want to put it down to just one thing, but that's the top of the head answer. What do you think, Marian? Why is 16G?
Well, I agree with you, but I can also come from a different angle, that I think the guidelines all are part of who we are as humans. That more and more we're finding with the research into small children that many of these qualities are naturally human qualities, and maybe animal too, but for sure many humans embody that. And we're drawn back to those qualities that we know are essential to our being a humanity that can interact with the planetary, with our whole environment in a positive and caring way. And I think, I really believe that it's a natural force of attraction between the values that we offer and what people know, have carried through centuries of qualities of kindness and compassion within them. Yeah, so that's what I would say.
There's been a couple of questions about impact and measuring, evaluating impact. What do you measure to evaluate impact, and how sustained it is? And that's a great question. It's something we've been working on as an organization for some time. We always do an evaluation at the end of every course. We're yet to coordinate with the university to help us take our evaluations in a more, to a higher level. Marian, do you want to say anything about evaluation?
Just many years ago, I think it was 9-10 years ago, when I was in Argentina, I did work with government scientists who were also practicing 16 guidelines work, and Buddhists who started to do a really wonderful deep testing with saliva tests and questioning the kids with different forms. it was wonderful. We got started, and then the volcano in the town where we were doing this blew the school. The town closed. It was almost you know, a similar situation to what we have now. Half the population of the town disappeared. The school did not reopen for 6 months, and our little spark of hope for doing a really deep study. But hopefully that'll come around. That's definitely something I'm sure that Victoria, as the director, is reflecting on. And yeah, I know this is a sort of essential component of moving forward, and maybe, you know, in getting connected into the larger community and government organizations, things like that, educational systems. So I think we're about on our time, Wendy. Shall I?
Can just one last exercise. If you could just think of one word you're still thinking of from this session and just write it in chat. So one word you still want to be thinking about in a month's time as a result of this session. Okay. So
while you do that, I want to warmly invite you to go to the website and really reflect if you'd like to join one of our courses that are being offered. Or I think we're really moving to offer many of them online in the new year. And we would be really happy to welcome you to explore more deeply these little tastes that we've given you, that hopefully gave you a good sense of what we're up to in such a quick review. Great connecting community. Yeah, that's our most inspired. Victoria, would you like to have a little word in here? We're very welcome, but you need to open your mic. There she is.
Can't get unmuted. Yeah, can you hear me now? Yeah, okay.
Yes.
I was just going to add on the point on evaluation. The 16 Guidelines course has been embedded into a mindfulness course at the University of Toronto almost 10 years ago. I think they're now in their 9th year. And the university said it's so successful that they want to have level 1 and also level 2. And they're planning to run that, I think, now. And Craig's working on that. So that's evidence that it's really powerful there. And of course, we have a lot of anecdotal evidence from participants through evaluation forums, but also excitingly, we've attracted help from a professor who's based down in Exeter, Swansea, and she's looking at evaluating the 16G program at a school in India. So many of you may know the Maitreya school in Bodh Gaya. And so she spent some time there during the summer and was so impressed with how the children behaved with one another. She wanted to study it, and she wanted to produce academic evidence which would be the research necessary to convince other schools to actually adopt the 16G as a model, as a program in schools, because she understands that's what schools look for. So we're quite encouraged by that. So we're hoping that will go ahead. I had an email from her recently, so we'll keep you posted. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we'll just wrap up, Wendy. Let's share. There was one last slide I wanted to share with you, because the last short course that we've developed is unlocking your potential. And I think each of us, whenever we're participating with universal education, this was what Lama Yeshe was really, that was the heart of what he was hoping for, that we would unlock our potential for compassion and wisdom, our potential to care for the planet and each other. And I wanted to just share with you this it's a slide from from the course on potential. And because I find it very inspiring, and hopefully you will too. This is a quote that we use at the end of our thing. At any moment, you can choose to follow the chain of thoughts and emotions that reinforce a perception of yourself as limited. Or you can remember your infinite potential. That's a quote from Mingyur Rinpoche, a wonderful teacher. So I hope that we can all, that is in a way really epitomizes much of what the work we do together. I think I can share that sentiment with Wendy and Victoria, and maybe many of you who are on this call. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here. I want to thank everyone, especially the tech folks, Michaela and Angela, who have spent a week of real dedication to support this Big Love Festival. It's been brilliant being here with you all today. Wendy, would you like to say goodbye?
Just to reiterate your thanks, Marian, for being such a wonderful co-presenter, and thanks to all of you for attending, and for the tech team, phenomenal, and the translators. And I just want you to imagine that this globe, we're all putting our hands around it. We're all uniting in our connection together. So really put your hands on the globe. Go for it. Can you all touch the globe? And we're touching each other. Okay, we're all holding it. And I'm tossing it to you to take the baton forward in terms of values and mindfulness. Go for it. Thanks, everyone.
Hope to see you in the future, all of you.